the main star, is not in it for the first hour of the
Didn't bother me.
film.
Didn't bother me at all.
Okay, it should have,
No,
because the
why?
the name
What
of
does
the
that
movie
matter?
is Furiosa.
Right. The name of the movie isn't Anya Taylor-Joy. It's
Right,
Furiosa.
but we didn't need to see her as a little kid for an hour. It was a
It didn't.
waste of my time.
Welcome to the Oh Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Hey, Dan.
You always give this real formal
Yeah,
top tip of the hat.
that's my Dan Daria salute
Is that what that
that I
is?
always give you.
Okay. Let me first say before we get into this, do you remember the Conan show when Conan had the late night show? You know, when he took
On
over
TBS?
for Letterman. No, this one he took over for
Oh, of
Letterman,
course.
and he had that skit. All the celebrities would come on and be Jeff Goldblum secrets. Do you remember that? And it would be these ridiculous confessions by celebrities that were not really
Yes.
confessions.
Yes.
I have a confession to make up front. I really liked Furiosa.
Oh my god.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and
You're the
quite
only
frankly,
one.
I'm not. So
Look at the
so
numbers.
no, hold on. I'll get to the numbers in a minute. We're
Alright.
not just talking box office, so let's get into this.
Right, right.
So, okay, so we're doing an episode on Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Now, this came out back in May on the 24th. It was available on streaming, I think, a month after that, if I'm not mistaken, June 25th. It's 2 hours, 28 minutes runtime. Of course, directed by George Miller again, written by Miller and Nico Lathoris. We'll get into the cast and all of that, but we've talked about it because we did a first look on it, and then we had done an episode on the original Mad Max,
Right.
which I hadn't really seen from top to bottom, so that we did this episode on it, and then leading up to that, had watched all of the Mad Max films.
And the good one, Fury Road. The
Fury
best
Road,
of the
right.
bunch.
Fantastic film, although I did love the originals, and it's hard to compare so many years later with the advancements in
Correct.
technology and everything,
Different
but
actors.
yeah. So this one, of course, as you said, this was all over the headlines with it was basically a bomb at the when you're
This
talking about box office receipts. Let's
Right,
just make
but
that
this
clear.
kicked off like, behind me, if you notice, I flipped out posters. I have the first blockbuster, Jaws, which really started the summer blockbuster. Then Deadpool is the current blockbuster, although
And
not that good.
you actually have Deadpool Wolverine poster.
Correct.
Like that's brand new.
And
Okay.
and please do not take that as me, you know, saying I liked that movie. It's
Well, there
just
goes the episode on
relevant.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well,
I knew
I'll
you
give
didn't
you a
like it.
hint.
It was obvious. You weren't being very subtle about
Right,
it. So, and then you got Beetlejuice in the middle because, of course,
because it's
as of
coming.
this recording, it's coming. Yeah, Beetlejuice.
And really, to me, that's gonna kick off the fall.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, we're not talking about any of those. We're talking about Furiosa. And so this was in development hell, like so many movies, for years and years and years. In fact, the original plan was to film Fury Road and this back to back. And
Mhm.
then that got scrapped because of all of this nonsense with Warner Brothers and different things that were going on. So that never happened, of course. And Fury Road, I think, was what, 2015 is when that came out, I believe. So if we just look at, we'll get to the box office mojo in a minute, but it's got a 7.6 IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, again, take it with a grain of salt. 90% from the critics, 89 from the audience. And so that's where I fall. In fact, I'm
Right.
probably a little higher on the audience. Now, I was having not seen it. I was kind of getting on the train with kind of railing on it for no apparent reason. I hadn't seen it, so it was hard to
Well, it
really
makes
form
me
an opinion.
wonder that there's a high audience score because there wasn't an audience. This didn't even make 75 million domestically.
And this is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is what baffles me because look, I feel like you're just being a contrarian here. There's no way you can pan this movie and say it was terrible. Absolutely no way you can say that. The effects are some of the best I've seen in the series. The world building, like I immediately
Effects. You just said something that the original
okay,
Mad
this isn't the
Maxes.
original Mad Max.
I
We're in
know.
2024. You're gonna take advantage of what the effects can do
Right.
for you.
And first of all, before you say I'm just jumping on the bandwagon, I'm not. I was w
You
is
are.
I saw this opening weekend, and
Mhm.
I called it from the jump that this was gonna tank.
Why?
Because, first of all, the main star is not in it for the first hour of the
Didn't bother me.
film.
Didn't bother me at all.
Okay, it should have,
No,
because the
why?
the
What
name of
does
the
that
movie
matter?
is Furiosa.
Right, the name of the movie isn't Anya Taylor-Joy, it's
Right.
Furiosa.
We didn't need to see her as a little kid for an hour. It was a
It didn't.
waste of my time.
No, I was skeptical when I knew that that was the case because you gave that away.
Right, I
I
gave a lot
remember
of things away.
you did, but as I was watching it, that didn't really bother me because I thought the young actress did a good job portraying her. So I was invested in the storyline even with her at a young age. The performance was there was nothing wrong with her performance.
It was just the story was just get to the point, get to Furiosa, get to,
They were it's a
answer the question I
an
had for
origin
Furio.
story. It's an origin story. So you
Yeah,
just
but
want him to kick into it, when she's already like, they gotta tell the backstory. That's
yeah,
the
but
whole point of this film.
then when we do get to Anya, when we
Wow.
get to her, she's mute. She doesn't speak.
As is Charlize Theron in
Now she
Fury Road.
speaks. I mean, she has a
Barely,
lot of
barely.
interaction with Tom Hardy's
Very
character.
little though in the grand scheme of
But
things.
if you're gonna do that, you have to be a good movie. You have to be telling the story without words, which is really hard. A perfect example is a movie you probably haven't seen, but maybe heard of, Rafifi. Have you ever heard of the film? It's a French
No.
film. It's on Criterion.
I thought he was a musician that played for children's audiences or something.
No, I think
Oh,
you're thinking of Mimi or Mimo or something.
Riki or Rakiki or something.
But Rafifi has this chunk, and anybody who knows the movie knows there's like a half hour of nothing said. Yet the story is telling so much. The director is telling so
Mhm.
much with the movements and the characters. This didn't do that.
It's not it's that's complete it did do that. In fact, you're this is to say nothing of Chris Hemsworth's performance, which
I
I'll be the
liked.
I'll be the first one to be critical
Yeah,
of
you
him.
don't like him,
No, it's not that I don't like him. It's like with The Rock, I'm just kind of like I'm exhausted. Like they're in every thing,
but
19 Marvel movies.
he
But
got lost in this character.
yeah, he
It
sure
wasn't
did.
Thor. I didn't watch
Well,
it and say, "Oh, Thor's in this movie."
that was intentional. That was
Right.
intentional. In fact, in some of the making of featurettes that you can watch, which you can get on the stream. You can get on HBO Max. It has all these extras that you can watch.
Yeah.
Miller, I think, was intentionally trying to avoid the typecasting, and
Mhm.
just with the prosthetic nose was a
Right.
good choice.
Plus, I
Bec-
think he was about 20 pounds
he,
thinner.
that's right. He again, yeah, exactly, to get away from the Thor,
Mhm.
references, but the whole storyline with her as a kid and her mother, and I bought into it all. I was invested, and I'm amazed at what they do with the effects now. I mean, some of the action sequences in the killings of like the war boys and these parachuting motorcyclists, and it I thought it was pretty phenomenal. And you certainly cannot you don't look at it and go, "Oh, this is CGI." You just don't.
A couple of times I did. I even
It's
saw
that well
wires a
done.
couple of times. I
No,
actually
you did
saw
not.
why I did. I
No, you did not.
absolutely
You
did.
absolutely did not.
I just rewatched this
It's just such
last night,
bullshit. Yeah.
so it's
Mike
very
going for YouTube
fresh.
subs.
No, no, well, yeah, like, that works. People want you to like the movies, we're the only ones that usually call them out. Like
Right.
like with Deadpool and Wolverine,
I'm
I've yet
here to
to see
defend
somebody be
Furiosa.
critical of it.
I can't believe I'm saying I'm here to defend the film. I and if it
I
was
believe it.
I would say it. And I
Remember
just
when
don't want
we did wait
people
a
to
second,
get
wait a second, wait a second. One thing, remember when we did Mad Max, right?
mm,
And I said, "Skip Mad Max, go to Road Warrior. That's the best of the first trilogy." But
your
we
opinion.
both we both agreed that the effects were so great because they were real. There were guys really going over the handlebars and skidding down.
It doesn't
This had a
right.
lot of
It
CGI.
doesn't make them better, right? It's just there's an appreciation for when they
Right.
use practical effects because of
And
the difficulty, but it doesn't mean one is better than the other. It doesn't. And in
well,
fact, when
sometimes it does.
sometimes the end result is better, sure. Right. I
Yeah.
agree with that. But the use of one over the other doesn't inherently make it better or worse.
I wouldn't say that because there's plenty of yeah, I mean, I like a lot of
Wow.
Marvel
Not
movies.
since Mulan has the Oh Brother podcast had
I
such
am
a heated
so on the
debate.
other end of the
Now,
spectrum,
it's funny when you talk about visual effects because Andrew Jackson, who I think was the VFX guy on Fury Road. Okay, so
probably.
and by the way, that film that you like so much, a load of the people that worked on that film worked on Furiosa.
I know, and I can't even believe if you didn't tell me, if I didn't see George Miller's name come up, I would have said, "Oh, somebody else. He passed this off to somebody."
That
Because
couldn't be
remember,
more off
we
base.
talked about
It's so ridiculous.
how narrow he shoots, and all the Mad Max films have
No.
that same kind of thing. There's this narrow
Sure.
Fury Road, we're going down Fury Road. He keeps
Right, but
everything tight. This is open world.
no, that's not true. Go back and watch Fury Road again. Go back and watch any of the films. Very vast, widescreen shots. Again, film to be seen in a theater on the big
But a
screen.
lot of the action is very tight and very narrow on
Sure,
purpose.
sure. Well, it
And
creates this tension and kind of
right, but he
anxiety.
didn't do that here. There was
I think he
way
did.
too many pan shots of all these, I don't know what you call them.
War Boys? The white,
Yeah,
paint, you know. No, I don't think that's accurate at
and,
all.
by the time
It's not.
Anna Anya Taylor-Joy comes in,
Mhm.
she puts, she has long hair at first, and then she eventually shaves it to look
Right.
she looked just like Charlize Theron. Why
Yeah.
not use her? She wanted to do it. Why
Because
go with another actress?
because she's a grown woman, and this
Yeah,
is
but
not set right up to that point. This
Anya
is
didn't
still
look any
she
different
did.
than Charlize. I didn't think so.
Oh, no, no, no. Well, but you're
Like we
making the
always
point.
talk about.
You're
We always
making a great point to support the performance and what they did with the character, which is I don't think you can deny based on what you just said. By the end of the film, and we've talked about this with like
correct.
Wonka, right? Like
Exactly.
we have to believe that that is
Right.
Charlize Theron, right?
Correct, and
Not
I
just
did.
Furiosa. Right.
I did,
Exactly.
but it went to the point where I was
Sorry,
like,
folks.
"Why not just use Charlize?
Yeah.
She wanted to do it. Why
I
use a different actor?"
what
Uh,
but I mean, what's the hang up with that? Anya Taylor-Joy did a
because
fine job in the
I
film. I
I
mean, I
think
don't
the entire dialogue of her I think her script was 1 page. That's all she talked for was 1 page,
I don't need a
basically.
lot of dialogue from this character. It's an
And it
emotional
was
movie. It's
also
not about the dialogue.
she connects with this guy on the way when
Mhm.
they're, going to
Praetorian Jack.
right.
Right.
She connects with him, and there was, like, hints of a romantic thing, which would have
Very
been more
subtle.
fitting if it was Charlize than somebody 20 years younger.
Well, but that's why they didn't fully lean into that, I think.
No, but there was enough there to
Yeah,
suggest.
but I've got nothing wrong with that. I
And
think the way they played it was just right. They had formed a very and this was, I mentioned Praetorian Jack played by Tom Burke, who I really loved. What I loved about his character is that, it's a Mad Max-esque type character, but it wasn't Mad Max, right?
right,
It's not Rockatansky. Like,
right.
but it's within the same
I didn't have any problem with his
vein. I thought
performance,
he was great.
but
I thought he
where
was
was he
great.
in Fury Road? You know what I mean? If there was this romantic
He's
connection or
dead.
what I know, but
Sorry, folks, spoiler alert.
why
He
take
got
us
ripped to
on that?
shreds and
It
eaten by a bunch of dogs.
yeah, it was just I just didn't feel like he went anywhere.
I was like, again, what they're doing with these effects is just phenomenal. In fact, one of the things another topic we've talked about on the podcast, which is AI, and when the writers and actors strike was going on, the most recent one, anyways, we did a few episodes talking about that, and you remember that was one of the the points that the actors were arguing for, right? Is rights when it comes to use of
Correct.
AI and their likeness and stuff.
Correct.
In this case, they use that to their advantage where, and I'm sure you don't know, or maybe you do know this, but they used AI, non-generative AI, which is like machine modeling,
Mhm.
to kind of morph a little bit of Lila Brown, who played the younger Furiosa,
Mhm.
with Anya Taylor-Joy. I kind of missed the subtle transition from Lila's Furiosa to Anya's when she was the dog man, right? And she
Mhm.
is
She
wearing the
crawled
goggles and the
down the
outfit.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I it took me a minute. I had to go back and watch it again to go, "Oh, it's Anya Taylor-Joy now." But that's
Mhm.
because they were using AI to slowly try to kind of fuse those looks together
And
to
again,
make it
I
more believable that it
Right,
was the same person, you know? I
but
thought
that's
that was
so
interesting.
not a George Miller film.
It is.
Using you know,
Oh,
and you haven't seen Alien Romulus yet?
it's a 2024 George Miller film. Like, that's what I think you're missing.
Yeah,
What do you
but
want them to stay stuck in the 1980s?
well, because of this movie, we're likely never gonna see Tom Hardy as Mad Max again because I don't think this movie lost so much money that anything they made from Fury Road is gone.
And this is where I'm baffled, and obviously you're not the one to talk to about it. I'm gonna have to continue to dig. I don't
Well,
understand why it was such a flop now. I really don't.
oh, man, there's
I
so
don't.
many things.
I
It
was
just
so I was so riveted by the aesthetics and again, the world building. I'm like, I even made a note initially, like I'm 20 minutes into it, right? And the
Mhm.
world building seemed very consistent to me. I felt like I was in a Mad Max film. I had no issue with that at all. And
I'm
then just a
stunned.
little seeing the origin of like the building of the war rig and how that came to be and how she lost her arm and that
Right, and
sort of
I
stuff.
don't think that payoff because that was probably the number one thing you were anticipating because that was
No.
a big deal in Fury Road.
Yeah,
We're
not
not
really.
told
Yeah.
how she loses that arm, but they never showed it, you know,
No.
happening, so we really don't know exactly how it happened. Did she do it herself?
Well,
I'm
no,
not quite
she
sure.
did no, I think it is clear. If you go back and watch, she after she gets the injury because it gets pinned between the tire of the car that Dementis, played by Hemsworth,
Right,
is
oh, I
in.
remember that
No, I know,
happening,
but
and
then he strings her up
correct,
to
correct.
watch Jack die, basically.
Right,
So then they at some point, they're torturing this guy all night, all morning, right? And
right,
then cut to, you just see her arm dangling from a tree. So she ripped herself away from her own arm, which how grotesque is that? And then the next thing you know, cut to the scene on her and the motorcycle getting the hell out of
right,
there.
and of course, everyone can survive with, getting your arm chopped in half and,
It's
ride a
Mad Max. How
motorcycle.
many unbelievable things have we seen since the
See,
first
the
one? The
profanity.
big the big eye bulging from the original Mad Max. I mean, the whole
I
thing is absurd. That's what I like about it. The language of Mad Max, the things they say, the
but,
terminology is so crazy. I love it all.
let's go back a little
I
bit
love it.
because I
Gastown,
enjoyed
Bullet
ha
Farm, the Citadel. I'm all in, baby.
yeah, it sounds that way. You're gonna be going to see, the Will Smith movie next, right? Ride
I
or
might.
Die. You're
I've
gonna
heard
give
good
that
things.
3
I
thumbs up.
I hear good things.
Oh, good lord.
People are saying.
This summer has been the worst summer since Jaws, in my
Right.
opinion.
I
You can't
dude,
count the COVID summer,
okay,
but
hold on, because we didn't even get there. Budget of about 168 million, at least that's what's estimated, right?
right, but that doesn't
It it
count marketing.
domestically the marketing. Let's not
Well,
get in the
that's like a
weeds. Nobody
250,000
gives a shit about that.
$250 million budget. That's why
Interesting.
this movie will never make a profit.
Okay, anyways, it brings in about 67 million bucks domestically, right? Horrible. That should be opening
Horrible.
weekend numbers, right?
Now,
And
this is
it's made 172 worldwide as
right,
of this recording.
which is terrible.
It's terrible.
This
It's
this
terrible.
was gonna be a billion-dollar movie.
And I genuinely don't get it. I don't understand it.
Wow.
I'm not saying this is a billion-dollar film. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But to not make the money back, it really does baffle me. That's how
Well,
good I think it is.
here it just came out on Max, which is why we're doing this,
Correct.
because now it's available to a lot more people.
Right.
So let's keep an eye on those numbers that you
Right.
spouted at the beginning to
Mhm.
see. I think they're going to course correct a little bit downward as more people see it, because
I
I
don't.
think it's just like Deadpool. People went in with their mind made up. This is going to be the savior of Marvel, blah blah. It's not.
No,
It's
I
not
don't
even
think
close.
nobody had that anticipation of this film by
But
any stretch.
this was the kickoff
I
for the
wonder,
summer,
you
and
know,
it's literally the biggest tank job.
and I absolutely encourage people to see it on streaming. Like, if you got Max, it's a no-brainer. But I wonder, as you say, this Charlize Theron, who was a great actress, we love her on the podcast, but I wonder if that strangely has something to do with it. If people like you were
Mhm.
so invested in her, in the
No,
character,
no.
that maybe they had a hang up with that, maybe?
All
You don't
these movies this summer, Fall Guy,
Right.
I went in
Okay, but
expecting to like the
you
movie,
didn't like Deadpool, and yet so that makes it over $1 billion.
and that's as baffling to me as Furiosa is to you not making money,
Right.
because it's just not that good. It's full of Easter eggs, if you like that kind of thing. Alien Romulus should be called Alien Greatest Hits,
Don't,
and wait
like,
till you see
please, I
the
haven't seen
AI
it
in
yet.
that. I know, I have to just
Okay,
throw
you
that
just
out
ruined
there.
that episode.
No,
So,
I
can you
didn't.
just save it for the air? Jesus.
No,
Okay.
I didn't ruin it, trust
Look,
me. There's nothing to ruin.
the story, the effects, the action, Hemsworth,
Just when I'm
P
liking
Pre
Helmsworth,
Pre
they
Praetorian Jack,
they
he's
take
in
him
the
out of the
whole
film.
film.
Yeah,
He's in
but
the
they take
whole
him chunk.
film. No,
When
they
they turn it
don't.
over to Anya Taylor-Joy, they kinda take him out a little bit. He comes back.
Well, but that's when you're following the storyline of her and
I
Jack,
agree.
which I think is great. He was fantastic in that role, fantastic,
And
and it
again,
makes you it's a thread to what's to come with Mad Max. In fact, as you know, at the end of the film, they cut in scenes from Fury Road in the end credits, which I thought was kinda cool, and
right,
even the women, I forget what the characters were called that, Furiosa takes up with when Tom Hardy's character as Max meets them, remember? They're in
correct.
the tanker
Yeah,
truck or whatever.
yep,
They have some stand-ins at the end of Furiosa
mhm.
who are supposed to be representing those characters
Right.
from the film.
They're kinda
Like the
set
Zoe
up.
Kravitz,
Right. They're set
character
up
and
to
those
be the
ones.
future.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
they're also being used for their bodies to procreate.
Yes, the mothers. It's really the only issue I had with the film, and I wouldn't even say it's an issue, but the very ending scene that does involve Dementis, let's just say that. I don't wanna ruin it, but there's
Mhm,
kind of an end sequence with that involves the Dementis character, and that was the only
mhm.
thing I was a little bit like, that's a little weird," but
And
didn't
that
love it.
wasn't bad to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so bizarre. Don't you
The
think so? Is Jack, just to talk about the story for a minute, is
Mhm.
Jack allowing or letting or encouraging Furiosa to seek out a place that he knows doesn't exist in this story?
I
Is
don't
that is
think
that what's
so.
going, like, he seems to know where she's trying to get to, the land with
Right,
the
I
green.
think he just hasn't seen it, so he like anybody in this world, it's
Mm.
hard to believe it exists.
But there's a sequence between the 2 of them on the highway or something where he's saying, I don't know, what are you out here looking for? There's nothing. It's a
Correct.
wasteland, right? And so it
And
seems to
then
me he was very
she
strong in his
shows
conviction
him the
about that.
seed, and
Right,
she's also got a map on her arm that she's
right.
following.
Yes,
So, but I think, yeah, he's probably doesn't believe it,
right.
but it does exist, and it
Hemsworth,
exists in both.
I love this idea of the Ben-Hur chariot of
Right,
motorcycles that
right.
he's I was very impressed by that performance
And
and the
they
character that he came up with. I thought it was really cool.
I did too. I like again, I hate railing on movies because so many people go into making them, and this was a huge, huge movie, a lot of employment, you know what I
Right,
mean? And
right.
I have nothing bad to say about anybody that worked on the film, but the finished product
I
just wasn't up to par.
I think it really was. What did you think about the, actor that played Immortan Joe? I thought that was pretty well done. He
Yeah, I mean, it
captured
was
the
pretty
essence of,
seamless.
Hugh Keys Byrne, who played him in Fury Road, and
And
who
what
was in
about
the original Mad Max too.
his sidekick there, was that the same actor? Because I thought he was the same guy from Fury Road.
Well, what they did, that one I don't know. It might have been. It was about 4, like, Rictus and Rectus and Rectum or
Right,
whatever
the kids,
there was,
yeah,
like, 4 or 5, the organic mechanic played by Angus Sampson, like, there was a few of those actors that came back from Fury Road. That
yeah,
one I don't know offhand. Then there was others where they, again, use the AI to kind of help rather than, like, de-age somebody, which there was talk
right,
about that with Charlize Theron. In fact, she's quoted as saying, would she have liked to have reprised it in this case? Sure, but
yeah,
she understood the decision. So, make of that
but,
what you will.
you know, because of this movie, I think the franchise is over. I don't think
Which would be a shame. Like, I'm first of all, Beyond Thunderdome is a total pile of shit. So, to not say that that's worse than this, don't even
yeah,
try
but
to
that
say that. Don't
you
even
know
try to say that.
no, no, I'm not gonna
I mean,
say that,
rest in peace, the great
but they
Tina Turner, but come on.
reinvented the franchise with Fury Road. I
Did
mean,
you did you realize Hemsworth's wife was in this film?
I didn't.
Um, his wife Elsa. The character is one of his band of hoodlums, with she had, like, the really gnarly mouth and it was, like, stitched,
Huh,
and she made a play to be one of the people that got to ride on one of the motorcycles that tore that character limb from limb in the beginning.
yeah,
They tie him up. She
yeah,
was one of the ones that she was, like, wearing a
right.
nightgown or whatever. That's his wife.
Yeah, her hair is normally, I think she's blonde. She wasn't
No,
blonde in
no, no,
this.
she's not.
Yeah,
She's, like, dark-haired,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wow, we
Wow.
couldn't be further you know what I feel like?
Yeah,
I feel like this summer, the character that Martin Short with the cigarette, it's
yeah,
me, right? It's
right,
him. It's not me.
yeah. Which, of course, he based on
It's
the
Dan,
the
right?
female makeup artist on Saturday Night Live that used to do
Right.
their makeup, yeah, and
But
she
you
had
could put it in any situation, and
you
that's what
can.
I picture the pitch meeting.
So funny that you would think that. It's so funny.
Listen, I'm completely satisfied
That's your opinion.
with it
Wow.
in fact, what bothers me is that Thunderdome is part of this whole saga. If that was not part of it, you would have a solid set of films here, this
That was
first
such a
step.
different I mean, that goes
I
back so far.
I hope that Hardy gets another shot because,
I do too. I wanna
you know
see
yeah.
his character again. I mean,
Just
it's
wow,
Mad
folks,
Max.
please, of all episodes, please, please, first of all, like and subscribe, but drop us some comments on this
Right,
video and
whose
let us
side
know
are
what
you
you
on
think. I
here?
mean, am I just out of my mind with this? Because we're not even close.
No,
We're not even
no.
in the same
If I you
gas
we
farm.
could sit here for an hour and
I
you
would
would
never
not
convince
change
you.
my mind.
I don't know. It's almost like you went into it with a
I
desire
didn't.
to hate it.
I was excited about it. I remember telling you, "I'm really looking forward to this."
There's
I
no
same thing
way.
with Fall Guys, same I mean, there's so many movies this summer I
Please,
went
please,
in
folks.
excited about.
Please drop comments and let us know. And look, I got no problem. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. It's just my opinion at the end of the day. But I really struggle to see why you're so far off the mark in disliking this as I am with the overall take.
Correct. I mean, you gotta say there's something going on
There's
because
something going on.
all these other movies, we looked at Quiet Day, Day
Sure.
One, which
Sure.
by the way, Quiet Day 2
Quiet
had a
place.
Day 1.
Quiet place. Yeah.
Quiet Place had a Day 1 in it.
It it didn't though.
S
It was like
It
10
did.
minutes. We
No, it
talked
did.
about that. No, it was like the first 20 minutes of the second one. That's all it was.
Right. But
That's
but
it.
anyways, that's
Don't
getting
get
off track.
derailed.
I want the people who are just gonna watch it now. I hope
Mike
people
Mike's mad that this was a quiet Furiosa. That's what he's pissed
no,
about.
I hope yeah, because the people who have already seen it on
I
Rotten Tomatoes are saying good
Yeah, and
things.
I wanna, to your point, I wanna know what is it? Why did this film flop, financially,
It didn't
at the
it
box
it
office
just it
receipts?
didn't feel like a George Miller film. It didn't feel like and I
It
remember we talked about Fury Road and how some
it
people call that a perfect movie.
There's everything in this, the tunnel dwellers and the war boys and there's everything you could possibly want in a Mad Max film is in this film.
Except Mad Max.
Right, but there's a well,
And I don't
he
think she
wasn't
carried it. I don't think she carried it.
he's not in the picture at this point, but there's a Mad Max-esque character
Right,
in Praetorian Jack, that and I found that satisfying
right.
because, I think without that character, I woulda had a problem. That would
See,
have been
that makes me
problematic.
think we're closer than it seems to be.
Well, I think that
If you
helped
take that
put it
guy out, I don't think it's that big a difference.
well, yeah, I think it just speaks to the performance of the actor, in that, and again, I like their relationship. I liked that. I don't think Hemsworth, uh, as the antagonist with Furiosa would have been enough. I can agree with that. I don't think that would have maybe sustained the film, but
Well, he really liked her originally. I mean, he wanted her to be his
sort of.
protege,
Yeah, kind of, right.
you
But he was
know?
just as quick to wanna rip her to shreds,
Well, he was like that with everybody,
Sure,
Word
sure.
man,
Right, but I could not be more eager to get feedback on this. I'm really baffled by it all. I really am,
But
and I would say, if I thought it was I would say it, but I
right, but
don't.
y
I like
all
it.
the movies that I have been dogging a lot of movies this summer,
Mhm.
but, like, Twisters is at,
Yeah.
over 300,000,000. I don't know how,
Right.
ride or die, I don't know how, but this one tanked more than any of them, and
Yeah,
there's
and
gotta be a reason for that,
no, I don't wanna
and I
hear
think
from just
Deadpool's
the
high because people are going back to
yeah.
rewatch it for the Easter
I don't
eggs or
wanna hear
whatever.
just from the Mike loyalists coming out, "Oh, I agree with my,"
Do I
just to
have any loyalists?
yeah, they
I'm the one
pander.
that gets
You
criticized
you
all the
you
time.
pander to a certain crowd, let's be honest, but, I really genuinely am interested to see what
I
people
am
think.
too.
Yeah,
I always like to
yeah.
see
So
somebody
if you're still watching and listening at this point, please come
yeah,
back to the video and drop some comments and let us know
but be
why did this
specific.
film why did
Don't
it
just
find
say it sucked or it's great.
yeah, let's
Tell me why.
give us your yeah,
I
exactly. Give
gave
us
you
your
plenty of reason that I have
uh,
more, but
right.
it
I
go
want to
too
hear
long.
your rationale, your thesis as to why you think it was bad. Or if you agree with me, then help me make this case a little bit better than I'm making it to Mike, because I
And
certainly can't convince you.
I am not above being persuaded.
No,
If you could
absolutely.
persuade me with
Yeah.
arguments
It's not
or
easy,
things
but
no,
yeah,
but I've been known to change my view, and even when I watched this the second time, I was hoping for a
yeah.
better outcome. I don't know why.
She didn't really shave her head too, right? That I was surprised by that. I thought she actually shaved her head.
I thought she did too.
She didn't shave her head. That's how
Charlize, I think.
yeah, I think so, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's how advanced now this kind of stuff has gotten. Not that wasn't visual effects,
Mhm.
it was practical, but it's like, I mean, there's literally women sitting there, like, inserting every strand of hair. I think I heard them say it takes, like, 3 weeks to make one of those
Skull
things.
cap or whatever it
Right,
is.
with the
Yeah.
hair in it. Same with
Yeah, I
Hemsworth
didn't
and
know
the
that.
beard. That beard, that's
Right.
all I mean, it's
Yeah.
unreal. It takes,
Well,
like,
I knew
3
that was
hours in the makeup chair.
wow.
It's
And his
wild.
nose,
That was a good choice because I think without that, it's Thor in Mad
yeah,
Max. It's just Thor in Mad
although
Max.
his
And
slimmer physique
he's too pretty, so you've gotta do something to kinda
yeah,
make that character a little off balance, which he is. I mean, he's demented. He's dementus.
correct, correct.
Anyways, well, look, I feel it's one of those things where I feel bad that you didn't like it. I wished you
I
liked it
do
because
too.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I
So
wish
there you go.
I wish I watched your version of it.
Let's hope this is not the last. I know this is not the last Mad Max installment that we get
I
to
mean, Tom
review, but
Hardy really took it to another level than Mel Gibson did.
would you be willing to go back and watch it again at some point?
Furiosa?
You get some distance from it, maybe come back
Yeah,
and see it
maybe
again,
maybe
and
with some space
yeah.
and
Now,
but,
did you dive into any extras?
I didn't
Hmm,
because, I
maybe you
had
should do
watched
that.
it when it came out, watched it the second time. I didn't feel like I needed to know.
Maybe a commentary by Miller could persuade you.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Fall Guy, which you haven't seen it yet, I don't
Right,
think,
right.
but you
No,
do
not yet.
have it.
Yeah.
I watched it when it came out, I watched it on DVD, no
Mhm.
change, but, when I started to listen to the commentary, I was like, "Okay," you know, I was liking bits and pieces of it that I wouldn't have liked if I didn't know how they did it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm open to that, and I don't
Okay.
have the disc yet because it's still
Yeah.
like $30 and I'm not paying $30 for this
Well,
movie.
maybe that's a first on the Old Brother podcast. Maybe we'll do an episode where we come back and see if anything's changed.
Yeah,
That would be kind of interesting. A second
do like a
look.
quick a
A
quick
s It's a second look with the Old Brother
right,
podcast.
right.
Well, wow, okay. I didn't expect it to be quite this heated, but, there you go. So,
I thought you were gonna be right with me.
Mike crying out, "Witness me, witness my rejection of this film," you know? Anyways, I think I wanna go for Halloween as one of the War Boys this year, but I'm gonna have to get on the Hemsworth diet plan to get the old six-pack, flowing again, but
Yeah, well, it's gonna take more than the six
well,
pack.
I can't grow, 5 inches
Yeah,
either,
golden
so that doesn't help.
locks.
Exactly. Well, there you go, folks. A very, very split decision here on the Oh Brother
Yep.
podcast. But again, let us know what you think. Go out to the
And
YouTube
why?
channel. And
Why?
why?
Why did this
Correct.
bomb? Just
Yeah.
answer that. Why did it bomb? If you
Yeah.
liked it, why do you think it tanked?
And why did it financially tank? But those that did see it liked it. So what is it was it a marketing plan?
See, no, because word of mouth, the second week of a movie is really the tell.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first weekend, any movie can make
And I
90,000,000.
I haven't looked. I'm sure you could pull it up on Box Office Mojo, but I don't know how many theaters this was in. I'm sure quite a few.
Yes.
So,
But obviously, those people who liked it, their word of mouth didn't convince anybody.
right,
Where Fury
right.
Road,
Sure,
that had
sure.
legs, it went on.
Everybody loves Fury Road. Everybody loves Fury Road.
It's such a good movie,
Yeah.
and that's
Now
maybe
if you
why
hate Fury Road, drop us a comment.
maybe that's why. Maybe I was expecting Fury Road and
Well,
anything less.
that's what I mean. Like you've got Hardy and Charlize. Like
Right.
that's a tough Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy. I can see that isn't the same ingredients. I
No,
get it.
but, I'm a fan of Chris Hemsworth. I thought Ragnarok's one of the best
But do you
Marvel
like
films.
Chris Hemsworth is really the question. I mean, it's good that you like Chris Helmsworth, but do you like
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth?
I always get the names
Okay.
wrong. I'm sorry. I
Well,
apologize. When he
all right,
comes on
listen,
the show, I
go
will.
out, like and subscribe, follow us on Instagram at OHB Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Oh Brother Podcast, all spelled out. That's our handle on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, get the show out to more and more people. That's going to do
Uh,
it for another episode of the Over There Podcast. Been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Witness me!